So for our tieguodun, we ordered the Goose, a classic choice and the restaurant's advertised signature.
A few days ago, I posted a video that ends with this scene showing the She Gate, also known as Shemen. A few days after shooting that video, we returned to the same place for another meal worthy of another video.
That over there across the river, that beautiful structure, is Shemen, the Snake Gate, one of the gates of the ancient city wall of Suzhou. Last time we were here, we had hodge-podge, Suzhou-style Cantonese hot pot. On the same night, we discovered a restaurant that serves another type of cuisine in a pot, tieguodun, literally simmering in iron pot, a kind of stew from northeast China.
The restaurant's design and decor tries to replicate the feel of rural households of northeast China. I've never been to such a household, but it seems congruent with people's general impression. It even has what looks like wood stoves.
So I guess the firewood is just for show. Seems like electric stove or gas stoves are easy to use, or maybe it's there are fire safety requirements. But the tieguodun restaurants that we went to in Harbin did burn wood. Proponents say that wood-fired stoves offer more even heating. Maybe not, but it certainly enhances the ambience. You know, the crackling firewoods just add to the atmosphere.
Unfortunately, no crackling firewoods here, but we have a bubbling iron pot. To make tieguodun, ingredients are placed in a gigantic pot and let simmered and braised for a length of time, with the span dependent on the type and quantity of ingredients. Our goose for two requires about 40 minutes. The pot is bubbling and my stomach is rumbling, so I have to order something else to tide me over.
The Chinese New Year is coming, and in northeastern China, a tradition is the Shaoxing-based literally the pig slaughter feast. One of the main ingredients in the feast is the pork blood sausage. I don't know if we're gonna have any Shaoxing this year, so we're gonna try out the pork blood sausage here first.
As overall livelihood has substantially improved, there's no shortage of pork and other meats. People no longer have to wait for a special holiday, such as Chinese New Year, and host a pig slaughter feast just to eat meat. Nowadays, Shaoxing is basically available year-round, but I just want an excuse. While we snack on the Xuechang blood sausage, our waitress will come over once in a while to check on the food and maybe give the stew a stir. The stir has to be swift and the lid replaced quickly. You don't want to lose the fragrance built up in the pot, but one of these times, the pot remains uncovered for a minute or two because she has to stick these golden globs of cornmeal dough on the side of the pot.
This is the Yue, which can be considered a type of cornbread. It's also known as Yue tieling, here emphasizing the attributive verb tie, meaning to stick, because as you can see, it sticks to the pot. It's similar to the Wuotao, another kind of bread made from cornmeal, but those are conical and steamed, whereas these are disc-shaped, and they're cooked with both the heat from the pot and the steam emanating from the simmering foods.
A beautiful brown crust has formed where the bottom is in contact with the pot. You can feel and hear the crustiness. Some recipes call for adding sugar. This addition might contribute to the browning, but if any sugar has been added here, probably no more than a pinch, because you want to taste the corn. That's what we have here, crusty and corny. You know what I mean. The Yue bean cornbreads have that mild organic sweetness, delightful on their own, and delicious with the sauce of the stew as well. Thanks to the dual action cooking method, while the bottom has been crusted, the body remains pillowy. Yeast may have been used, but again, instructions vary. This fluffiness enables the Yue bean to soak up the broth, that deep, dark broth, where ingredients have been flavoring each other and pushing and pulling one another for the past 40 minutes.
So for our tieguodun, we ordered the Goose, a classic choice and the restaurant's advertised signature. To this, we are going to add different stuff such as Suancai, Chinese sauerkraut, and the fentiao, kind of thick cellophane noodles. Now for the tieguodun in northeastern China, there are some conventional pairings. such as pork with the fentiao cellophane noodles, and then pork ribs with common bean, catfish with eggplant, and chicken with the honey fungus mushroom. These are some of the more orthodox pairings. And then there's also the da feng shou, literally the great harvest, hefty harvest, which is usually pork with different kinds of starches and vegetables.
Let me interject here for a second. We actually end up having another so-called tieguodun soon after. For that session, we ordered sort of da feng shou with pork slices and ribs, along with a variety of vegetables, the Yue being cornbread, etc. The eatery brands itself as tieguodun. They also use a massive tieguo iron pot, and we also have to wait for the dun process. But I think it's closer to a different type of food called tieguodun or diguo, literally simmering in earth pot. The flat white guotie bread is a telltale sign. Suzhou here in Jiangsu province is famous for tieguodun. But let's return to our northeastern tieguodun with Goose, Suancai, and fentiao.
And then for us, we are going to add Suancai. That seems to be pretty common as well. But for the fentiao, I don't know. It might not be the most common combination, but our server said that's okay. So hopefully I'm not going to get weird looks or like I'm not offending any hardcore tieguodun fans out there.
The wait was long, but it's so worth it. Time has thickened the sauce and softened the meat, which includes feet, neck, and head. Initially, the pot only contains the basic goose. The extra suancai and fentiao, along with more broth, I added later after we already started eating, then allowed it to cook for a while. The fentiao cellophane noodles don't have much of a flavor, but the sauce really likes to cling onto their surface. The suancai, that is super. Suancai literally means sour vegetable, sometimes referred to as Chinese sauerkraut. Numerous regional varieties exist, and many are quite different from the German and Slavic sauerkrauts I've had. Normally, in the northeastern Chinese style, napa cabbage is essentially pickled in salt brine and let ferment slowly in the cold weather. The outcome is relatively similar to sauerkraut. They bring a sour note to complement the goose and a crunchy texture to accentuate the slimy noodles. Like I said at the conclusion of my last video, this suancai partially makes up for that meal's disappointment, but that doesn't mean this meal isn't wholly enjoyable. Cause it is, especially on a cold winter day. Next, I'm gonna start recounting the hot and humid days from my trip to Guangdong back in September. 再见!